So now to Hong Kong, where voters turned out in droves yesterday to deliver a victory for the pro-democracy movement. The district elections are being called a rebuke of Beijing's policies. 17 out of 18 district councils are now controlled by pro-democracy politicians. Voter turnout was also unusually high at 71% as people waited hours to cast their ballots in a show of solidarity after months of protests and violence in the streets. Our Ramy Inocencio is in Hong Kong standing by. So, Ramy, how are these election results being interpreted?
Sure, Anne-Marie. Basically, depending on which side you're on, massive celebration on the pro-democracy side and massive despair and even public apology if you were on the pro-establishment or the pro-Beijing side. When it comes to Chief Executive Carrie Lam, she interestingly actually thanked everyone for coming out, and that is despite her government really getting thrashed in these elections. 2.9 million people came out, as you said, 71% of the electorate also came out, and they basically gave a massive landslide to the pro-democratic camp, in addition to some of her allies. For example, Regina Ip, who is a very well-known pro-Beijing and pro-establishment legislator, she was walking around the central business district right behind me earlier today, and she was actually heckled by people as she was just walking around. She actually had to be escorted by police to safety so that she wouldn't even get heckled further. But if you were on the pro-democratic side, last night there were cheers in the streets. For example, when one reviled pro-Beijing legislator named Junius Ho lost his seat, there were people dancing and cheering. You could hear it from far, far away down the blocks with people cheering. Some people even popped champagne bottles there. So looking at what has happened, Hong Kong is now trying to pick up the pieces, trying to figure out where to go from here. But this has been a very, very huge rebuke to the government here and, of course, to Beijing and the Communist Party, which backs it.
So we're just showing live images now from Hong Kong. It looks like a lot of people sort of milling about in the middle of the street. Also, officers standing by in sort of full riot gear. You know, people are going to hear elections in Hong Kong. They're not going to quite understand what these district elections are. So explain what they are, and the people who were elected, what are their duties?
Sure, that's a good question. Let me try to relate this. So, for example, think of these people who are elected as something on maybe like a county level kind of representative who might take a look at what's happening at the most very local level. For example, maybe noise ordinances or picking up the trash in your area of the neighborhood. These are the lowest of the low kind of elections that could happen here, and they don't have a lot of bearing all the way at the top. With that said, the fact that there was this massive landslide, this is a rebuke in terms of sentiment and in terms of mood, and there is some, I have to say, some power to try to guide policy moving forward with the legislators here. That's known as the Legislative Council. And the fact that there was this landslide, these people get about 10% of the voting power to choose the chief executive of Hong Kong. That is Carrie Lam right now. But the fact that they do have 10% is some kind of power. But again, I stress it's not that much because it is still a huge minority.
All right, Ramy, thank you so much.